Hello, this is High Templar with my Total War Rome 2 guide videos, and today we have another video about the politics because the patch changed it again. In the Ancestral patch there is another change to the politics system, and it does change it a lot. It makes it more valid for the many more options are valid, and they weren't before. But also it makes the game a lot simpler, the same as patch 17, we changed the politics of the game as well. So that is troublesome for me, and I would like to make disclaimer, I would not play in this patch because it's just so easy now. It's ridiculous, in my opinion. And I probably will just play game in the patch 16, so that is before all those changes. However, that being said, you came here to learn how to play an Ancestral patch in the newest release of the game, how to play the politics, so I oblige. First, this is your politics screen, and as you can see, you have government overview. If you do port your advanced game from the previous patch to now, you would see that the risk and the happiness will go down a lot, and the risk will go up a lot. That used to be like 7% or something, or even 0 the last I checked in the previous patch. Now it's gone a lot up, and this is due to several different things, but the most important, that many things did not change and this screen did not change. However, because I don't want you to go, if you are new to the game, I don't want you to go to my previous videos. I will start from the very beginning. I will make a mark on where the new stuff comes if you are not new to the game and you know changes since the patch 17. Now, this is the government overview. This is basically how much of the nobles you control. Nobles, senators, whatever, doesn't really matter. What matters is those bonuses. Those bonuses are extremely powerful. You can get from ignored, which will give you minus 10% research and minus 5% tax rate, to peerless, which gives you plus 20% research rate, plus 15% tax rate, a lot of public order. It used to be even more. It used to be 12, by the way. So this patch nerfed it a lot. And there is also plus 20% for morale for all land units, which is also very, very useful. Now, since it was done in the patch 16, I got down to 79%, and I wanted to get back to that 80, and I would. But now you have two political parties that will fight you. The new parties are being generated since the patch 17, and this is good. And all the parties have trade. For example, this guy here is a diplomat and basically gets plus 1 for loyalty when player has 100 positive relations with any faction, and minus 1 when it's negative. And this is like normal trade. Militarist is a very, very good trade, because it gives you plus 2 loyalty for 3 turns for each military victory, up to 6. And this is up to 6 per turn. So if you get 6 victories, you are getting plus 12. And that's very, very useful if you are playing very aggressively like me. So this faction will like me. Unfortunately, it seems that there is a reset here after the patch. So yeah, I don't know, I'm getting actually plus 18 from the militarists, which is weird. Should be plus 20, but whatever. Oh, plus 6 per turn. Okay, I understand how it works. So sorry, this is, you can actually get, because this lasts up to 3 turns, you can basically get 6 times 3 times 2. The maximum bonus would be quite substantial, but you will have to get a lot of victories each turn. That would be very, very hard. Now the last one is xenophobe, and it gives basically minus to your loyalty for each faction which you establish diplomatic treaties. That's basically trade treaties or anything. So xenophobe is bad because you will have a lot of trade. So this guy will always have minus 10. There are worse, like thirst for power, which it will always give you minus 10 because you always should have more influence than others. So those traits are very, very useful. The important thing is that the last trait is a trait of the leader. And you can get rid of the leader, which will make... You can kill him in a battle, for example. And this will have serious negative effect on the loyalty, but it will be only for few turns. Actually, I think like 10 turns or something. But it will be substantial minus, but for limited amount of time, and the new guy will have a new trait here. And that's very important. Also, you have two options here. These are very, very important options. One will allow you to secure loyalty of a target party. You should pretty much, if you are past turn 20, you should pretty much secure the loyalties if you are in any trouble, unless you want to actually provoke them into the combat. Or you can purge. Purging is problematic. It will give target party minus 4% in influence, which will give you some bonus influence, obviously. If there is only one party that's plus 4 influence for you, that's very, very useful. However, as you can see, it will get minus 20 loyalty for target party for 10 turns. And that is huge. And minus 10 loyalty for all other parties for 5 turns. So that is very, very problematic and will mostly provoke the war, basically the secession, which I will mention in a moment. When to use purge? Purge you should use whenever you are protected. You are protected when you start a game for 20 turns. That means for first 10 turns you can safely purge everybody. And you should purge everybody until you have over 90% influence. Right? This will make things a bit unbalanced later in a game, and that make the game interesting because it was hard to keep that influence after your protection is finished. But right now you have tools to deal with that as well. And purging might not even be the best option. It's just the best option at the beginning of the game when it's easy and it's basically free for the first 10 turns. Nothing can happen to you, and after the civil war you can do that as well. So these are two of those options. You understand what those traits and leaders do. And this is the parliament, obviously. The disciples of Zeus and disciples of Poseidon. Also, those parties control certain places on the map. So my party controls everything that is brown, but the disciples of Poseidon control the green ones, and the disciples of Zeus the blue ones. If they secede, those settlements will secede with them. So that's something you should be very careful about. And you should always, and that's actually very easy to provoke the secession when you want it, and to have troops ready to basically crush them, especially in the mid game and late game. At the beginning it might be a bit more troublesome, depends on how many wars you are at. But you can control it and you can fight it only when you can, when you have no other wars. That is very, very possible. It's enough you purge, and those guys will start fighting you. That's pretty obvious. So there's that. Also, all the characters that belongs to said family, like those guys belong to disciples of Zeus. If those guys are generals, and those people are generals at the moment from disciples of Zeus, or this guy from the disciples of Poseidon, if those guys will decide to break away, those people will take their armies with them. And that is obviously a problem. Right? So if you do want to provoke somebody, strip them of the command. Put your whole family. It will cost you in influence, but you don't have to worry, because after you wipe out the faction, it will no longer have any influence, and your influence will skyrocket. Right, so this is character screen. This is completely new since the new patch. And you have many options, and many things were fixed in here. So here you have a family tree. And right now, we know this is generated family tree, so we no longer have Pyrrhus, who was in, obviously if you start the game with Pyrrhus, he would have sons and daughters and all. But right now, this is our family. This is our leader, family leader, and Basileus, which is basically the main commander. I will explain the career in a moment. This is also new. And yeah, this is who my commanders are. As you can see, I'm playing normal mode, so my guys are without, it's not for 4 turns per year, it's one turn per year, so those guys are pretty old, some of them. Many of my generals died of the old age. And yeah, the leader of the family is the guy who is supposed to be a king. In the summary, you can see that I am actually a kingdom, and I will explain that kingdoms and the rest in a moment. But this is important right now because since the latest patch, your family cannot break away and make a new faction, which is again a bit silly, but it makes sense that you can put more in your family. You can promote more the guys from your family, because they will not break away and they will not take a huge chunk of your gravitas like this guy did. Sorry, actually, yeah, this guy didn't take a lot. I don't remember which one. One of my generals split it with a lot of gravitas. Maybe this resets due to the patch, but that doesn't really matter. So the new parties will be created at random times, and some of those characters will go and create their own new faction. And that's very cool. That is interesting. That will make keep you on your toes. But not people from your family, or only the other nobles from your family who are here. Right? Right. Now, you have new skills for the generals, and I explained them in the Ancestral patch video. You should go there if you want to learn from them. They are as broken and as imbalanced as they were before, and they make Greek generals a lot better than attracting mercenaries than Carthage generals. And I'm not saying that Greek generals should not be easy for them to attract the mercenary units, because some of the Greek armies, like half or more than half of the army, were actually mercenary units. So this skill minus 30% for upkeep for all mercenary units is a very good skill for Greek generals. But Carthage generals should also have it. I'm just saying. Alright, so getting back to this screen, these are attributes of your general, and each of your general has 3 attributes. This is what is it? Authority, cunning, and zeal. It will give you some bonuses, basically. Depends on the battlefield. This is very, very cool. But also, it will give you ability to do intrigues, and I will explain intrigues in a moment. Each of your general has also gravitas, ambition, and age, obviously. The gravitas represents how much this guy contributes to the party influence, basically. So, if your party has like 50% influence, and you have only 2 generals with 20 gravitas, and you promote one, giving him additional 10 gravitas, your influence will skyrocket, because there is only that much. I mean, there is also dead family members who can also have gravitas, so there's that. But in general, at the beginning of the game, it's really easy to get influence by increasing gravitas of the general, of each single one. The longer the game will play, the more gravitas they will get, so simple promotion will not do that much. And promotions have many cool. It will give you many cool things. Like, I will just secure this promotion. First one is for free, and you should do it if you can, especially if you are at the beginning of the game when it costs you nothing, because loyalty from other factions doesn't matter. You are protected, right? And as you can see, it will give you plus tax rate, plus gravitas per turn, and plus loyalty to the party that this guy belongs to. Now, this is very important. If you have a lot of influence, especially from purging, and the other guys have like, those guys have like 20 gravitas. If you promote a guy from this family, which will, yes, it will give you some additional loyalty, but if you do that, right now this party controls 43 nobles, so that's 14%. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to secure a promotion for this guy. Those guys control a lot of nobles, but they have very little gravitas, so this is what I told you. And right now, those guys control 36 of the nobles, right? And my guys, because they have a lot of gravitas, right now they control 235. If I promote this guy, they will still promote 135, because that is a minuscule additional to the gravitas. And even if I promote every one of my guys, it will not do that much, except for making those guys hate me even more. So, this is very important. You need to be very worried about promoting other characters, because in the later game it will strip a lot of your influence and you will not be able to take it back easily. Well, would you? Not really, not anymore. There is one intrigue that is basically I win button, but I will go to that in a moment. So this career, basically, among other things, will also give you gravitas per turn, and that's obviously very important. It is important to get as much gravitas on your side as it is humanly possible. And with each turn you will get gravitas, you might get additional noble on your side, which will give you more influence, and influence, as you've seen, is very important. Right, there is also something called ambition. And this is like a multiplier for gravitas, basically. When I do secure promotion with Irenaeus, it will give this gravitas from Irenaeus will give me twice as much influence as gravitas from Dolon. This is also very, very important, and this is it's wise to remember that it works like that. Interestingly, right now, not only you have your generals, but also you have all the females, mostly their wives. And you can also secure them, and interestingly so, as you can see, this single promotion will actually give you +3 gravitas per turn. So that noblewoman started to be very, very influential, but, still, it's important to do that at the beginning of the game. Later on, it will be less and less powerful. Age is pretty self-explanatory. Now, intrigues. First intrigue that I showed you is secure promotion. It's obviously very, very useful, and you can increase the career of your generals and of your politicians. It's very, very cool. Then you have improved relations, which is kind of pointless because it gives you -5 gravitas for 2 turns, that's -10 gravitas, and +2 loyalty for target party for 3 turns. That's only +2 your loyalty for 3 turns, and it doesn't only cost you 10 gravitas, but also the cost at the bottom of the window. You can see that gravitas cost is 30, and the cost in money is 1,706. So basically it will cost you 40 gravitas to, for 3 turns, only increase loyalty of the party by 3 points. And it makes sense only if the loyalty of the party is 8 and you need 10 for something special, and I will explain what in a moment. Then this is leisure time. Leisure time is very, very cool because it gives cunning to the target and it gives gravitas to the target. So that's very, very important. As you can see, also when you zoom over the ability, you will see that it has requirements from the attributes that you've seen here: cunning, zeal, and authority. So for example, to get leisure time, which is very, very, very useful, you need to have either 6 zeal or 6 authority, right? Yeah. Then you have send the emissary. And this might be useful, but -2 loyalty for other parties for 5 turns. Basically, +8 gravitas for 2000 gold is pretty expensive, and this is additional loyalty, so you probably will not use it. So is organize the games. However, organizing the games will help with administration, public order as well, so this might be actually useful. Send diplomat will improve relations with other countries, and it's kind of useful, it's very cheap, and might be something you want to do. However, most of those options you will do extremely rarely, except maybe for leisure time and secure promotion. Secure promotion we should do a lot, if you can get away with it. It's minuscule loyalty drop because only -2 for only 2 turns, and then you can get another one, so that's pretty cool. You can assassinate a character, which will decrease loyalty for the party, but only cost 20 gravitas, and it might be very, very useful if the guy has traits that will give him a lot of gravitas, for example. He's gaining a lot of gravitas per turn, so then assassination is a viable option. Spread rumors is a weird one. You will get minus loyalty, and there is a chance that it will... you have to have more cunning than the target zeal. And it will decrease loyalty of the target. It will cost them... it will cost you some loyalty. It costs only 15 gravitas. It might be useful, but I don't think it will be in reality. Finally, we have I Win button. I Win button basically gives you plus 2% influence for your own party with minimal comparison to the purge, for example. You have to have 7 zeal or 7 authority, so that's very important. But it will give you plus 2 influence, which is immense, really. So I can get here 80%. There you go. Well, just like that. And I can click it and click it and click it. Right? It will, in this case, make a civil war. But at this point, civil war is... you cannot avoid it one way or the other. Because this is old game. If you start from the beginning, it will not be so. Political marriage is absolutely essential thing. It was very, very important in the patch 17, from 17 till Ancestral, because it was a very easy way to make your character more powerful and to gain loyalty of other party. Right now it gives only plus 2 loyalty for 4 turns, but it's something. And it gives your character a wife. Mine character already have a wife, but not every character can. I mean, not every character will. Before, it was very essential because it was giving you plus 3 loyalty for a party forever. So you were making ties with other factions, and it was basically making them not rebel forever. Well, as long as the general and his wife were alive. Either of them dead, this bonus was no longer working. Now political marriage is still useful, because you will still get a wife, it will still get a plus 2 loyalty. And however, to do that, you need to have at least 10 loyalty from the other party. Let's... unfortunately, all my characters are already married, because obviously I did marry it with other guys so they wouldn't rebel, and it worked. It worked very well. But you have to have at least 10 right now, because before it wasn't like that. You have to have at least 10 loyalty to the party. That's positive 10. Which might be a problem to some. Before, it wasn't so, and it was more... it made more sense, because, like... the marriages between the people, there did not have much loyalty between those families, sometimes at all. And I just need to recall 2 marriages between the families of Octavian August and Marius Antonius, who first... one of the daughters of Marius Antonius was married to Octavian August, and then sister of Octavian August was married to Marius Antonius, which is pretty funny story in itself, because that was just after the war when the mother-in-law of Octavian August almost kicked him out of Rome with their legions. But like I said, that's beside the point. So yeah, entice is actually pretty useful. It persuades the members of another party to join your cause, half the target gravitas. It gets a lot of negative loyalty, but you can get cool character to your side. Embezzle Fund is actually now pretty cool, because you can get you can get a lot of coin, and if you are missing a coin, that might be very useful, especially during the protection period. It will cost you gravitas though. Send gifts will give you some gravitas and give some loyalty for target party, and this is something that I would like to use, but I have not seen a character that can actually send a gift to anybody so far, and that's a bit disappointing. It doesn't even tell me why I cannot. I would like to send this guy a gift, for example. It's win-win situation, don't know why it's not working. Even this guy with his monster stats cannot send a gift. Maybe it's because of the authority. My guys are rather low authority, most of them at least. I can make that. Oh, this guy has. No. Even this guy with 8 authority, still. Nope. Cannot send a gift. Do a favor. +1 authority for a targeted in your party, but there is gravitas that other party gains, and it also costs you gravitas. So this is pretty huge. Flirting, I would not use it. It gives you some gravitas, but both spouses have negative gravitas. I mean, it makes sense if your spouse have 0 gravitas, I guess. Again, I have seen this working for some cases. Oh yeah, because character cannot be in command. This guy. Yeah, for some reason, no valid partner. Never mind. Pray somebody gives gravitas to that target, and it's actually decent because it is only +10 gravitas, and it will give you +3 loyalty for 3 turns, which is useful. Insult works exactly the other way around, but it gives -10 gravitas and -2 gravitas for all party members from the target. So that is quite useful, but it costs a lot of loyalty. Provoke is basically just decreasing the loyalty of the target party. 6 spouse is on the not a political marriage, but just a marriage. You are just getting a spouse for certain character. Obviously, for me, it's not really an option. Divorce works as before, but costs you gravitas. Before, divorces were absolutely expensive. Now it costs you only some gravitas, so in the later game, you can actually divorce, and it will not cost you arm and a leg. Before, that was sometimes -1% influence, so that was obviously problematic. This is a strange one, Zerp Legacy. I still don't know how it works. Obviously it's very bad because it's -10 gravitas for all other family members and also for all other parties. And you cannot do that on those guys. No, you can only do that on your own family, so that's pretty pointless. Educate, very very cool thing. +2 random attributes. This is very 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 useful. Then you have Declare Heir, which if you do not have eligible heirs or current heir, it is a way to give you gravitas. And finally you have Adopt. Adopt will just get a guy to your family. And this is also very important if you do not have eligible heirs. You can use both this and Declare Heir, and you will get quite some gravitas actually from that. Very useful in the mid and early game, because you will adopt a lot of people, right? And this is different because this joins guy to the family, whereas this joins guy to the other nobles. And I think that's all the intrigue options. And now the last thing is the government types. The government types would be different for, say, it would be different for Carthage, it would be different for the Rome, and it would be different for those factions like Epirus. But they are similar in one. They all of them have the Empire option, which is pretty cool, and it gives plus 15 loyalties for all political parties, which is cool, and plus 20% for research. They have Civil path, which will give civil research bonus, public order bonuses, and such. For Carthage, for example, and Rome, that it's plus 20. I'm not sure if the in this patch is plus 20, but it's a lot in general. And the Carthage and Rome will start with this one, which is very, very important for Carthage, because Carthage has problem with public order. League is a very, very militaristic one, when you get minus 10 upkeep cost for all armies, and plus 20 research rate. Obviously very, very good for Celtic factions, for example, or Celtic, however you pronounce it, which will allow you to build up all this military very, very fast before you can get into other stuff. So yeah, that is pretty much all of the new politics. You also have new household options, I guess. Before you could only have 2, now you have more. And that is pretty much it. I would use extensively promoting women from your house while you can. I mean, at the beginning of the game, during protection period, because it's very, very useful. It's free at the beginning, at least. And yeah, those women would be very, very, very useful. Now the coin cost is quite expensive, 5,000, as you can see. But the first one is easy, and you get a lot of gravitas per turn, and those ladies are political animals. They can get you a lot of influence if you use them correctly, and they also can give you basically the other intrigue options. And that's it. I hope you like it. If you did, press like, comment if you will, and see my other videos. If you want to see how the characters have changed, what skills the generals and the spies have, I would suggest my Ancestral update video. Thank you for watching, and see you later.